Hi everyone, it's Adrian Leah. This is part one of my fairy tarot deck collection. I knew that I was gonna talk about a deck for a little bit and then I would move on to another deck. I feel that the fairy decks are pretty consistent in terms of me working with them. I like the energy that they generally have, even if they might have some dominant characteristics that others may differ from. But overall, I love them, and that's where I started, and that's where I am now. I feel like it's definitely going back to source with me with that. It is, they're they're like home decks to me in terms of category. So these decks are technically the same ones, just different editions. In high school, I was given a tarot deck from my friends, and no beef with this person that I went out with, but he ended up throwing out the deck. So when I didn't have that deck, I did come across another deck that I don't have anymore. It was a pip deck, and I still used it. Then it was when I was in New England that tarot reading really picked up. So I got a deck for my dad. I have it. It's the newer edition at the time of the Dame Darcy, and I hand sewn these bags. Now there's a golden edition, but I love the ones that I have. They have different cardstock. But I feel like they are of their own. I think the cardstock affects the coloration too. The older edition is darker. This is a self-published deck. I feel that when I read in the beginning, there were less decks to purchase, but it's what you feel drawn to. So I'll show the other edition, but that's what I pulled, the Empress. And if you could see. This one is more worn because with the older edition at the time, so the creator, the Dame Darcy, she found older decks in her warehouse and had them up for sale. So I picked one, and it's more of a collectible for me. You can kind of here and see that this is slightly different cardstock. I would say that this is a little thicker. And the colors, as I said, are darker. I'll try, or I'll get the Empress out of this deck. Although, it is one of the lighter cards. Oh, some of the cards are different. So there are the two Empress cards. And the Five of Cups. And I have the Tarot of the She. And this is the original one that I got. I got this off of Amazon. The price is smudged off of here, but I got it used. It was nice back in the day when I would buy decks for myself, and it would be an investment. So, because I didn't have a lot of money at the time, so I would like pick the ones that I really felt that I would use and would go with a certain price range. I did use this deck a lot. It's been through a lot. So it's went through different colors of gilding because the black was dark for me, so then I went silver, and then somehow there's kind of, I think there might be a little purple on here. I actually, oh my God, I traded this deck to my friend, and I was like, I don't know, I just one of the one of the deck backs. Somehow I felt like I knew I was gonna have the deck back anyway, and then she ended up not liking the deck anyway because it reminded her of something that made her feel uncomfortable. Aliens. And so I was like, okay, I'll just retrade. And so I got the deck back. And um, I still use it. It's definitely bold. I kept the words, but I trimmed most of the borders off. I may trim the whole thing because that's what I ideally wanted to have with the black borders gone. And I'm not one to trim all borders off of things. If it works for the deck for me, then I'll be happy to keep it. I do love color. I tend to go for warmer colors and um especially with clothing too. I go with colors that mesh well with all this. So I definitely love this deck. Wow, it didn't sound convincing. I do love the deck. I feel like it has a little bit of me in it. I might do some videos on the decks specifically to talk about the card meanings. I feel like I just convinced myself that I was going to trim this deck, and now it's in my head that I'm trimming this deck. I recently just trimmed the Czech edition of the Shadowscapes. That might be the last piece of the puzzle to do. Definitely a sleeker cardstock. This is a shipper publishing deck. And I do like their decks. The meanings speak to me too. As I said, I love fairy decks in general, but this one specifically is one of those solid readers for me. Tend to go for things if I'm looking for something specific, and I do really like I guess heavy hitting decks. I like ones that really set the point across. I love, personal growth and good things to happen in the readings, but I don't read fairy tales. So I say what I see in the cards and what else I'm getting aside from that, and that's how the reading goes. But I try to say it in a, I guess, in a polite way. The next deck is my deck, the Earth Fairy Tarot. And this is my late cat. I have her here. Um, I get the question on when will I have more decks out of this deck? And I do have them sometimes in my local shop. I give the decks to them, but I really wanted to do something else with the cardstock and work with an actual company to do it. So I'm thinking with my next deck, I'll end up doing that because I do have a next deck coming up, and for a while I was getting some pictures here and there, but it wasn't until recently where it clicked with the things that are the beings and um, people that I'll have in the deck. So now it's back on track. But these are my tattoos. And I do like the cardstock on here. For this, it's more of like the petal cardstock. And then when I use this deck, I just feel that it gives really detailed messages. If I were to say, um, what I like about these decks. So with the Dame Darcy, I feel like it's more of like a whimsical inner child type of deck. Because one of the things that it was nice is that it had some symbolism and then you build off of that. There are some minimal decks that do that too that I enjoy. Um, a special mention is the Scorpio Sea Tarot. It is one of those minimal decks. I haven't read the books, but I really love the decks that the creator put out. There was also another deck, the Raven's Prophecy, that she came out with, but I connected with one of her decks. So there's some fairies in here, and of course there's friends and family, and things that I would connect to the cards from experience. And as I said in my description for this deck, what I knew life to be at the time. So that one's the Ten of Cups. Okay. So then I have another older deck. I tend to like older decks, but I like to look at the new ones that come out here and there. I'm definitely more selective because I have purged a lot of my collection, and yet I still have a good amount left. I'm actually going to keep some of them in storage in America and then, come back for it here and there. Um, and if anybody's interested in trading decks, I could do a selling or trading video. But I keep this deck with playing cards. Sometimes I like to read it with playing cards, but I also have the specific reading that's on my shop. I One of the places that I have the readings on. And then I have some crystals in here too. So this is the Fairy Wicca Tarot. So these were images that were meditated on in Ireland from the creator, or that the creator um, who made it. I am, I've said this, I'm not a Wiccan, but I do enjoy this deck. I included this in here because it has aspects of the Morgan. Kind of looks like clovers in this card. I hope everyone had a happy St. Patrick's Day. Oh my God. I mainly ran errands, but I also slept in because I had to get my oil change yesterday, and they were sorry, and some of the cards are in Gaelic too, but they're readable. So the oil change was like, it was 7 in the morning, and I figured, well, I sleep late, so might as well just pull an all-nighter because I fell asleep for a little while the night before after work, and I just figured I'll be fine. And I mean, I made it, but I was like not having it, and um, it was in between past tired and still tired, and then you just like ask yourself like, should I even go back to bed? So I mean, I was like kind of in and out of sleep. And then I was supposed to do other things on Saturday with like the errands I was supposed to run on Saturday. So then Sunday would be kind of free. But for nothing specific, because that's how I usually like to schedule it. And that's what happened. And then the book is nice. It's a big book, but the ones that you usually see that are on the market come with the mini book. I'm not one to reference them very often, but when I like the guidebook, it's usually because there's something about it that stands out to the deck itself. So I like the spreads a lot. I actually use some of the spreads, and I have one of the spreads that I use as a reading. It's like the Wheel of the Year, where you go through each season. Um, there's extra cards in the deck. So the Tree of Life is an extra one. We'll see if anything comes up and mm. So one of the main cards of the Morgan, but she's on multiple cards, and then it goes through her lore too, which is nice. The crane bag is an extra one. the Holy Stone, and Hazel Wand, and the Apple Branch. So sacred symbols associated with the Fae. Um, then some of the queens are associated with the Morgan too, different aspects of the Morgan. So I'll show some. I really like how the ma major arcana, you really notice that they're major arcana, and then the minor arcana, they're um, the minor arcana. So I'll show these. With my American pronunciation, Bab and Maeve. Then you can see the elemental association on the cards too, and some of them show runes on them. I'm sorry, ogums. The Ten of Swords. I'll show two more decks. I have had this one for a bit. It's another hand sewn deck. And it's the Tarot of the Secret Forest. There is a sister deck to this one too that I technically have, but then I technically don't have because it's with my godmother. Well, I have it. Like some of my stuff there too. Not too much stuff. But when I moved here, well, it was downsizing again from since I had my two-bedroom condo and then I moved to this area and then I went to a one bedroom and this is a studio. So I'll see what I'll bring to my next move. It's going to be even bigger, even if I do have like maybe one or two bedrooms. I'll still have to actually ship stuff at that point. So this is a specific type of deck. It's double-sided, so whatever you pull, I usually keep them on one side and or the other for this deck. But I'll show the colors for the most part. I do enjoy this one too. Or, sorry, that was loud. And as with the title, there is like a wildness that this has that I really like to associate with the Fae. I like they kind of feel like of the bramble, not um they definitely have their own personalities, I would say. It kind of reminds me of when I got in trouble. Um, I've said this in other videos. I went to Catholic school for most of my life. I went to public school for a month. Um, in that month, I got sent to the principal's office. I don't know. And well, I do, but then my dad was talking to them. I remember he was like saying, "I know she's no angel." I'm like, all right, well, that was the Nine of Pentacles. That's the other side of the card. And the last two decks for this video, technically they're the same deck, are the Victorian Fairy Tarot. And this is one of the rare decks to get. You could still get it. The easier version to get is the Russian version, and they're different card stocks. So the one that I work with is the Russian version. It's the first one that I got. Then I was given the deck. Um, this was from Mary Bell. Thank you so much. And she made this deck bag. And which makes me really happy because I definitely have more decks than deck bags. And I love her deck bags. Deck bags. So again with this one, I'm thinking I might combine them at some point occasionally if I want to do readings with them to see if multiple cards of the same card comes out. But it's mainly the different card stock, and then to keep the momentum going in the reading, I do like to just write on them for the most part, the card, um, the ones that are in other languages. It's definitely a readable deck. This is one that some people agree with this deck, some people think that it's not wild enough for the Fae. I have an appreciation for it. This also goes by seasons too. So on the Russian version, I do end up, and I'll briefly show that one, put the suit of it instead of the season. or when the cards are lighter, the camera doesn't pick up on them. Hopefully you get the idea of the deck. But I like the way that this deck talks. It's definitely proper. But it's I would say not like the other decks don't, but this one that's kind of stands out. It has like, I guess, an intellectual mind, if you will. And you could translate that for what you think that would be. But let me show the other deck. Yeah. Go. The Ten of Winter. Air. And then this one, it has a softer cardstock to it. So you can see I have the writing down here. I do like the detailed decks too. So you could look at the cards and see what stands out to you in a reading. And again, I could do other videos that are close up using my phone as the camera, but I don't know if I ever mentioned this, but I broke my OtterBox for my phone, and just like the outer layer, it's not like the innermost layer, so my phone is fine, but that outer layer it had the phone stand on it, which was nice, so I don't have them anymore. But it's my second one that I broke because they're kind of fragile. And um, I also I film a lot on my laptop because it's so much quicker to upload it than on my phone. But here and there I could do the deck videos. I know that it'll be a lot more easier to see than what I'm showing on my laptop. But it's a clean read, I would say. I would I look at the deck and I'm like, it has such a, again, a whimsical way of portraying the cards. And it does look like storybook type of images. So this was the last deck for this video. Then I'll have um, a separate Oracle deck collection series of videos. Then it's the Page of Swords. And thank you guys so much for watching. I'll, oh my god, see you in another video. Bye.